You are now tuning in to the Val and Val Show, where conversation is art. Conversation is art. Conversation is art. You should chime in. Ain't no telling where to start on the Val and Val Show. Ain't no telling. The Val and Val Show. You know, ain't no telling where we go on the Val and Val Show. Ain't no ceiling, cause the art of conversation is the flow. It's that creativity available when we speak, available in our homes, available in the streets. We just trying to get it sparking and take it a little deeper. Keep it casual while fireside chatting with our people. Yeah, we take it a little deeper. It get hot when we fireside chatting with our people. Cause conversation is art. Conversation is art. You should chime in. Ain't no telling what'll spark on the Val. The Val and Val Show. The Val and Val Show.
Well, hello there. Welcome to Conversation is Art. Hope everybody's doing good. And I want to say happy Mental Health Awareness Month. Yes, it's Mental Health Awareness. And let me share this with you. Whether you think you have issues with mental health or not, you do. You do. You may be in denial. We all do. It's a part of life. You don't have to have a diagnosis of a mental health disease to have issues with mental health. You can go to work, just going through life, get in a car wreck. That can send you into a mental health crisis. Sometimes we think that someone got to be institutionalized, and that's the misnomer about mental health. So I'm going to start out before I bring somebody phenomenal on. Y'all, I'm so excited. And you all may wonder how I get guests. I see their stories and I just reach out to them. I don't have to know them. You have not because you ask not. So I'm going to share this young lady here. This is like my godchild, I would say. This is not Mrs. I'm saying Dr. Shay Fagan. And she shared this morning on Facebook, and I want to share it with you all. She is a practicing
Hi, you guys. It's May the 1st, so that's Happy Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm Dr. Fagan, your counseling psychologist. I do psychological testing and individual therapy, so this is the point of the video, okay? We've all heard the term depression, depressive-related symptoms, or have some type of idea around depression. So I want to put this out there, is that there are some people who can experience what we call like functional depression, okay? And that means that they're experiencing depressive-related symptoms or forms of depression, but are still very much functional. Okay, so these are the people that are like still showing up for work, are still able to show up with their friends and family, or show up in different spaces, show up for their kids, but still very much like navigating from a very depressed state. People who are experiencing, depressive-related symptoms or like functionally depressed sometimes are often overlooked by people around them because they're not being perceived as someone who could be depressed, right? So then it almost like invalidates their experience, and then they almost kind of downplay what they're experiencing because the idea is that like if I was depressed, I couldn't be able to still do the things that I'm doing. That's not true, okay? I want to share with you that many of us have learned ways to adapt and to cope with life's difficulties and occurrences, and it doesn't mean that we're actually paying attention to the depressive-related symptoms that we have, okay? I want to share with you guys that if this is something that you have questions about, wondering about how to get help, I am a resource for you guys. I want to be a resource for you guys. I know that, so obviously I can't see family and friends, and I'm in Georgia, but I would love to help you guys get to a place of healing, okay? Even if this stuff just feels uncomfortable and you don't know what questions to ask or how to even tap into it, I'm a place of support for you guys. I have a host of resources and networks and things that I can hopefully provide for you guys and even point you in the right direction. Y'all find a therapist, get in therapy, do some work, find a safe space so that you can work through those things and get to a place where you can have your best quality of life, okay? I want that for you guys. I love you guys. I'll try to make it short so I can put in all this information. I hope it's helpful. You guys take care. Love you. Bye.
Okay. So I hope that message helps you. You all, sometimes it's just good to talk to somebody. You'll be amazed when you start having a conversation with somebody. You'll be like, oh, I'm not okay. That really bothered me. So just talk to somebody. And let me say this for those that are Christians and super saved, you just believe in fasting and prayer. Y'all do know Jesus had counselors, right? They put that in the Bible, in a multitude of counselors. There is safety for a reason. Uh, he talked to some people. He had a support system. He even had a physician on his team. Okay. So it's okay not to be okay. And Jesus and therapy, duh, they do go together. Okay. They link up. So now let me get to it, you all. I'm so excited. This young man, he's 25. He's the same age my son. Oh my goodness. When I saw him, y'all, I saw maybe a 20-second clip of him speaking. And I was just so inspired. Two reasons. First of all, he's doing great things. And he's 25 and he's accomplished more things than a lot of people have accomplished when they live to be 90. So he is actively involved in the community. But in today's world, where all we see are young black males, either y'all, they're being killed, they're on drugs, or been in a negative narrative, even when it's not so. We have many young men, they are doing great things. And you all know I normally I do not read people's bios, but exception for tonight, because when he sent this to me, I was like, oh my God, he doing everything. At 25, I can't wait to see he when he get 30, 35. I'm gonna be following him. So look, Mr. Emondre Johnson, he's a 25-year-old entrepreneur and philanthropist. Philanthropist, y'all, did you hear that? Already. A man of many talents and roles, as the founder of Eastern Toys, a nonprofit organization, and he's gonna tell you what that is, a business owner of the Bart, and I really fell in love with them because y'all don't see my sweet grandpa Cookie. I love her. She lives in Dallas. Normally come see us every summer, like she's really a real child. My daughter drop her off for her grandparent visits. And a committed creative at night is that Edie and program coordinator at 00 Foundation. I don't know what none of this is. I'm gonna learn about him with y'all. He exemplifies dedication and passion in all endeavors. He's from Birmingham, a native Birminghamian, and his connection to the community runs deep. At the age of 18, he started Eastern Toys to uplift children and their families by providing something for them. And then to date, he has brightened the lives of over 400 children, you all. And he also is an animal lover. How about that? So he has a degree in animal science from the Alabama AM up in Huntsville. Is that called the Hill? I think that's what they refer to it, on the Hill. He has a knack for photography. We got that in common. But I ain't finna start no business. I don't want to be bothered with y'all like that. So he is balancing a career in veterinarian technician. So y'all know he love animals, because I'm a nurse and I don't think I want to take care of no animals like that. So I love animals, but I don't love animals. Okay. So Mr. Emondre, come on in. How are
Yeah,
you? How are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Miss Val?
Great, great. I am so happy to have you on. I have been just anticipating
Man, I'm
this
happy to be
night.
here. Thank you for
Most
reaching
definitely.
out to me as well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You probably like, who is this emailing me about being on the show? I don't even know what this is.
Right. And that's why, when you first reached out, I kind of questioned. I was like, where'd you hear me from? Because, the name that you sent me was similar to a name, Jarrell Jordan. I thought you were talking
Okay.
about one of my classmates I went to school with. I graduated in 16. He graduated in 15. And he
Okay
pretty much
then.
started his own little foundation as well, where I wasn't even out of college at this time, but he kind of grabbed some people who were involved in the community, and we were like traveling to different elementary schools and pretty
Mm-hmm.
much just empowering children with our stories and how we got to where we are now. And like I said, I wasn't even done with college then, so I was still trying to figure it out.
With it. Well, yeah. Look, see, God put somebody in your path.
Right.
And that's what we need. That's what we need. I'm gonna try not to cough because my sinuses are messed up. So,
Mine too. Oh my goodness, these allergies.
oh yes, these
Oh my
allergies for sure.
goodness.
So let's start from there. Now, you were
Mhm.
born in Birmingham, so tell us a little bit about your background, where you were born, and a little bit about your family and everything.
Yes, ma'am. So I was born in Birmingham, Alabama. I grew up in a single parent household until I was maybe the age of 13, 14. My father, he was incarcerated up until that time. And
Hmm.
like I said, I went to Barrett Elementary over in East Lake. And then I went to Eisenware Middle School and then
Okay.
Woodlawn High School. And I
Okay.
did go to Glen Iris for kindergarten as well. But that
Okay.
was just like, 1 year. So, and
Okay.
like I said, I
That's
was
it.
born and raised here.
Okay, graduated from Woodlawn. I got some good friends. As a matter of fact, my pastor's daughter just
Hmm.
graduated early graduation. They're doing it now, 16-year-olds, and she's one of the
Okay.
valedictorians, I believe it is. So she
Okay.
graduated from Woodlawn. So now you grew up on the east side of town, right?
Yes,
East
ma'am.
Lake. Okay,
Oh,
that's how
yeah.
my pastor said.
Oh, yeah.
Brown Springs, all of that stuff.
Yep. All that.
And everything. So you go to college. Now let me you have a degree in veterinarian science, right?
Animal science.
Animal science.
Yeah.
Okay. So what
So,
sparked your interest in that?
what sparked my interest in that? I would say, like, when I was young, one thing that my mom kind of always instilled in me was reading. Like, I would always go to the library with her because she was always reading. So I would get books that were interesting to me. And at that time, those books consisted of animal books.
Mm-hmm.
So very early on, I was learning about stuff that I was revisiting as I got in college. And I remember, it's a funny story. I was at a babysitter's. These are my cousins. They babysit our whole family for the most part. But I was maybe around the age of 3 to 4, and I picked up a lizard and I took it in that house, and they just screamed. And like, animals just like it, they never put like a fear in my heart, especially like the bigger animals. Like, I just always felt interested to learn more about them and how to, pretty much take care of them. So that it wasn't really a spark. It was something that kind of came natural. Like, it was just an
Natural
interest of mine. Like I said, I was going to the library and picking out books on animals.
thing. So I always share this, Emondre, is that
Mhm.
God put that in you.
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
always tell people, if you pay attention to children, they will show you they're gifted in their purpose in this earth realm. Now we can have multiple purposes, but generally there's
Hmm.
something that's dominated. For you to fall in love with children, with animals like that early.
Yep.
For me, I always tell people, I don't know if I chose nursing on my own or that my mama instilled that into me, because that can
Mhm.
happen too. So I always had a nurse kit and I always taken care of people. And it has worked greatly for my life because, I grew up in South Alabama on a farm. So we always had animals. I mean, pigs, cow,
Oh,
everything. Okay.
man. Yeah.
My cousins and my uncle, they were cowboys.
Hmm.
I grew up with black cowboys. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't afraid of animals. I mean, we trumped in the woods, and me and my cousin were talking the other day. I was like, girl, it's just the grace of God. We didn't get bit by a rattlesnake or moccasin because they were prevalent down there. But we
Hmm.
trumped through those woods without not even thinking about it. I mean, catching frogs and the whole 9 yard. So I could catch those things. But I don't know
Yeah.
if I wanted to be a veterinarian. And I
Yeah.
loved in biology, I love dissections. I
Yeah.
love doing dissections and
And
everything.
see, that's the thing. Like, I knew very early on too that I didn't want to be a veterinarian. Like, I knew that I wanted to study animals, but I just knew that I didn't want to be a veterinarian. When I did get in high school, I did intern at a few animal clinics here in Birmingham, where I picked up maybe 200 intern hours,
Okay.
probably more than that, honestly. And yeah, it was. I just knew, like, I didn't want to be a veterinarian. Like, I knew I wanted to study animals, but yeah, the whole doctor part, and I've done all that with my veterinarian technician career. Like, I've
Okay.
done all that stuff. It's just, yeah.
You
Mm-mm.
know what? It's kind of like I have a good friend of mine. She is a certified medical assistant, and she has her own home care business.
Mhm.
And people are always saying to her, "Well, you should just go to nursing school." She was like, this is what God called me to do. She like taking care of the elderly and people.
Yeah.
Well, you could make more money. Uh, think well, she got her own business. She gonna make more money than the average nurse in the end. But her point was, I'm not gonna let somebody force me to go nursing school when
Mm-hmm.
I know what I want to do
Right.
in life, and that's something we have to be mindful of. I'm a believer, and I tell people, if God ordained you to do it, you're gonna have the resources you need to
Right.
live. Now, that living don't mean you might can live in a 10,000 square foot house. We equate success with material
Material.
things, whereas you can be in a 10,000 square foot mansion and be miserable,
Mm-hmm.
suicidal, don't have any friends. So that's not it. Wealth is so much more than money. Yes, do we need money in this lifetime? But we are to those that are believers, and whether you're not or not, God is still providing for you. Whether you believe that or not, He
Right.
is providing for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you decide to go and get your degree in animal science, and you started working. So now, how did the photography thing kick in?
Um, that was something my mom put on me too. Like, she would always take portraits of me and print them out. She would print the portraits out. So just like family pictures and stuff like that. She
Hmm.
always had a camera with her. And when I did get back, well, when I started college, my freshman year, I actually reached out to a photographer because I was trying to get some pictures done, like some updated photos of myself. And
Hmm.
from there, like that photo shoot that the guy did for me, like I was just interested. I was like, "What kind of camera you got? You know, how you did this? How you got that?" And I was satisfied with the pictures that came back, and I was like, "Man, I want to see if I can do something like this." So
That
from there, I came back home one weekend and I grabbed one of my mom's old cameras, and it was like a snapping point camera, like one of those point and shoot cameras.
yeah,
So, like you said, it's really that those cameras are limited, but they got the job done. And as I began to get a little more expertise from YouTube University, that's when
great
I
place,
kind of
ain't
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah, and that's when I went out and made my first investment on my own camera, and I started doing like as a hobby. I started doing headshots, graduation portraits, landscape portraits. Like that was my
Okay.
favorite. Like just being outdoors and going and take pictures of nature and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was yeah something that I really enjoyed doing, and um, from there I just kind of started taking it more seriously. I got into concert photography, automobile photography. Like I've done
You were just
almost
shooting, huh? You
yeah.
like me. And that's what I
Hmm.
do. I take pictures for a hobby.
Yeah.
I will for someone that's really very dear to me.
Hmm.
I'll take some pictures for them and I tell them, quick, look, I'm gonna edit them. I'm gonna send you a link.
Yeah.
You got 30 days to get them on my Google Drive. I am not finna get these printed. You are on your own because
Yeah.
people don't realize
It
it take
takes
a
so
lot.
much.
It
It
take so I
takes
tell
so
the
much.
people, now, of course, you don't want to rob anybody, but you should know a reasonable fee. Pay the people. I
Yeah.
actually, when I was in the Air Force, I actually chose my career field based on that I love to take pictures, and I learned how to develop pictures in
Hmm.
those big old pans.
That was something that I always wanted to do. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
the
I
process
always wanted
a
to
long
do
time
that.
ago when they ran through the machine, I
Hmm.
learned it that way. And until you do that, I was just amazed with filters. But you could put a filter on something and check. Well, now we do it on what they call it on
Digitally.
yeah, digitally. We do all the photoshopping they call it now.
Hmm. Yep.
But you Photoshop in the old fashioned way with those big lenses is simply
Hmm.
amazing. I mean, look, the way y'all doing it now, it don't really take no talent for real. You ain't got to
Yeah.
figure out to use magenta, yellow, and cyan and all that stuff,
Hmm. All that
everything.
stuff.
So you
Yeah.
started taking pictures of everything, and me, I don't like pose shots. I just like to catch things, especially family functions in their natural
Hmm.
occurring. So
Yeah.
now the bark pet photography, what
Hmm.
brought that on?
So what brought that on is when I graduated from Alabama A&M in December of 2020, I got a job in January of 2021 working as a vet technician.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, it's like people that worked with me, they knew that I was taking pictures and stuff like that. So then the location I was in was Mountain Brook. So I was
Okay.
working in Mountain Brook, and they found out that I was taking portraits. And I had one client that asked me if I did pet portraits. And at that time, like I was just snapping pictures of my dog and kind of going by that, but I didn't turn it away. And from there, I looked into it. I did some research, and I seen the market, and I'm just like, hey, this is a niche that it's really not filled. So let me, step into this lane and see what I can get done. And like I said, I merged both of my passions of really, like you said, you can have multiple passions. I feel like I have multi passions,
Oh, you do based on this?
and I merged two of them, which is the animals and the photography. So then it's like with that other photography, like you said, people don't understand so much go into it. And I kind of got tired of just like going back and forth with people about, different things when it came to the photography sessions and stuff like that, and realized that it's so much easier to do pet
Be on time, number one.
photography. That's one of the things too. And yeah, the market is so much different than that market that I started with. So I just completely niched down and LLC and turned into a full business now, and it's been pretty lucrative. So yeah, like I said, it's an unfilled niche. I'm actually able to take it multiple places too. Me and my fiance, we actually took a trip down to Chicago one summer, and they have their dog scene in Chicago is so much bigger than it is in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So they have like a dog park on each block, like literally each block. So my buddy, he was out there with me. We were just walking up and down the block of downtown Chicago, taking portraits, and I was selling these photos, and people were buying them. So that's like, it's like one of those things. It's like a niche that I felt I can go
Oh,
into
so
and get some success.
well,
So,
now let's just be real. Some folks put more into their animals than they do in
and that's
they
true.
children. They
That's
do.
true.
I mean, these people look. These dogs live in high class. We had dogs growing up.
Hmm.
They ate the table scraps that we ate. Well, no, they got this and got that. I
Yeah.
mean, and they lived 100 years. Okay, in the country.
Hmm.
When I came to Birmingham, my first dog here was a chow.
Hmm.
I'm like, I gotta do all this treating for a dog. This a bit much. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, she getting better care than me from my
Hmm.
primary care. So,
Like you said,
you
people
know,
will take their dogs to the doctor before they take themselves.
oh
That's
yeah,
true.
they
I've seen
will
that.
for sure, and
I've
they will
seen
pay.
it.
They will
Hmm.
pay. Get them up there. So look, I gotta show my boo, and I hope this shows up.
Let me see it.
Let me see. Let me see. Can y'all see? Can you? It might be too much light. I might not can
Yeah,
get
it's too
y'all to
much
see.
light.
Yeah, it's too much light. Let me see if I can turn the light down. So I want y'all to see Cookie. It's too much light. I'm gonna
It's
upload
like I can
after
see
this.
the eyes and the nose.
Yeah, yeah. She's a beauty. She's sweet. I told my daughter she more obedient than she was.
Yeah.
She
How
said
old is she?
she is 6,
Okay.
and she's a multi pen, a multi
Hmm.
and pincher
Okay.
is what she is. She's a
My
sweetie.
first dog was a miniature pinscher.
Okay, and
Hmm.
look, think she ruled the roost, honey.
Yeah.
She would run up on a Rottweiler like she can do something.
Mhm.
Well, that's great. That's great. So you got that. Look, you got all them streams of income coming in, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Now I'm finna be mama now. I hope you utilize. I hope you utilizing it well, being a good steward. Okay,
Most definitely.
because it's easy to be broke. It's easy. Look, my mom used to tell me, Val, you can spend $100,000 faster than you can spend 1,000 because you ain't thinking about it.
Right.
And she said you look up. So look, let's moving on. Now I saw you were at the Inslee Business Alliance. So what
Mhm.
was that about? What type of event was that?
So this was like their first event, and I'm actually close friends with Tiantre, who actually put the event together. And
Okay.
me and him were talking one day, and he was kind of telling me about what they're working on and how they want to start like doing events where they invite different business owners out to kind of speak on, their situations and really turn it into like a event that they do all the time. So, but the for this event, he kind of said, "Hey, if you could just talk about something that you feel is needed." And
Mm-hmm.
my topic was the importance of mentorship.
Okay.
So yeah, that was my topic, and yeah.
So talk about that. So from your perspective, you
hmm
said you got a mentor. So tell me, what is the importance of mentorship from your perspective?
And I think it is very, very important. I would say if I didn't have a mentor, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And that's honest. Like my mentor, she came when I was maybe freshman year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
I started playing football at Woodlawn, and she had a nonprofit where they called it Christ Fit. And
Okay.
ChristFit, they actually partnered up with Woodlawn football team where they was inviting us to do workouts with them, and it was a small gym, but man, the workouts were like
Were they
crazy, but it was
brutal?
yeah, well needed. And I started being more involved, even take going to that space when the football team didn't go. I started working out on weekends and
Mm.
working out more on weekdays. And one thing that we did in that Christ Fit, like it's a number of things too. We worked out, we talked about where we were at the time, and we did some Bible study.
Okay.
So it was like a number of things, and it was really just enhancing a child holistically for the most part. So yeah, like, but I remember I was kind of, it was like sophomore, junior year, and my mentor sat me down. A lot of people were kind of getting prepared for college and what we're really going to be doing. And at that time, Woodlawn, especially my freshman and sophomore year, I'm not knacking my high school, but it really wasn't a place for learning, if we're being honest. And
Gotcha.
I wasn't as focused as I would have wanted to be. But as I got into my junior year and senior year, I became a little more focused, and I never even thought about like pursuing college and going into the workforce. Like I never thought about doing those things. So one day my mentor, she sat me down and she was just like, "Hey, have you been applying to any schools?" And I said yes. And at that time I applied to one school, and
Mm-hmm.
that was Lawson. So I applied to Lawson because I was already taking co-ed classes.
Okay.
And co-ed, we started those classes while we were in high school. So
Mm-hmm.
um, she was like, "All right, cool. Let's apply for a few more." So I was like, "Oh man."
That's
And she
great.
sat me down and we applied for some more schools. And one of those schools that I applied for was Alabama A&M. And at the time they were kind of doing this um, they were just doing this city tour per se, and
Mm-hmm.
they were going to different schools handing out scholarships based on ACT scores and SAT scores and stuff like that. And I was able to get a scholarship that took care of a good bit of my tuition. So
Wow.
from there, I kind of went where the money was.
That's
I
what
locked
follow the
in.
money. You know what I tell
Right.
people? You're going to college, you ain't going there to live.
Right, and I kind of followed the money, went where the money was, and the rest is history. And like I said, if it wasn't for her sending me down and stuff like that, I wouldn't have went off to A&M. I wouldn't have started the nonprofit. Wouldn't have become a vet technician. Like
None of that.
none of that. And I do remember as I was growing up, my mom, she always kept me in like a number of programs to kind of keep me engaged and opened my eyes up to different things outside of our environment and where we was living. So all of these engagements were like learning engagements. Like we were doing stuff with the public libraries, and she was signing me up for programs like the Big Brother Big Sister program and summer camps and stuff like that. So through that, I did find another mentor as well. He was in college at the time, and I was 10, and became like my big brother. And we were connected for about 5 years, but throughout that time, he was taking me to UAB college campus. I was going to the
Mhm.
gym. I was going to the events that they were having, and just really opening my eyes up to something more than what's around me.
Around me. Yeah, broadening your
Hmm.
scope. Look, go
Yeah.
Blazer. I'm a
Mhm.
UAB alum, 1980, 1988. Don't act like that's a long time ago. And
Nah, I
so
ain't say none of
I
that.
intentionally did not address what you said about your father earlier because I wanted
Hmm.
us to talk some more.
Yeah.
So your father was incarcerated
Yes,
up until
man.
you was it 13?
13, 14. It was my
Teens.
freshman year. I was 13, freshman year of high school.
Okay. So during that time, were you going to prison to visit him? Did you have a connection
Yeah,
that way?
so around that time, he was on work release for about a year. And
Okay.
we were able to kind of go down to Hamilton, Alabama. That's
Okay.
where he was. They sent him to Alabama. We'll go down. Then he started coming home for the weekends and stuff like that. But before then, when I was a child, I kind of would see that my dad wasn't there. And one of the things that my mom did, and I just commend my mom. Like, she was the strongest mother that God could have ever gave me. Like, I'm truly blessed to have her
That's
in my life.
beautiful.
But when I was young, she would tell me that my dad is in the service. So I never questioned, what the service was. I just kind
Yeah.
of figured it was like, hey, military, army, something like that. I never really,
Thought
thought
about it.
to
Oh,
ask that question. And then as I got older, I started to feel and see, like, my cousins, they had their dads in their lives, and my friends, they had their dads in their
yeah.
lives. They were picking them up from school and stuff like that. But I started becoming like, uh, I was feeling like a little bit angry as I got older, because I did find out that he was in prison maybe around 10, something like that.
10.
And that's when a little bit before then, I was visiting him. And even before then, before 10, when I was young, we were visiting him. So, like, it
But
just didn't really,
you never
it
made the
just didn't,
connection. Like this is
yeah,
not
I
the
just never
military.
made that connection until I got 10, 11,
Well, I'm
and
gonna be
people
honest
really
with you. I
started
mean,
talking about it.
military bases look like prisons. I mean, let's be real. They're making them more modern now. If you really think
Yeah.
about it, they got big old fences and I mean all
Hmm.
these checkpoints and
Yeah.
everything. So it was
Well,
so and I know your mom did that to protect you. So when you found out it was really prison,
hmm.
did that affect your relationship with your mom? Did you feel some kind of way? Like, why you tell me this? Why you didn't tell me the truth? That's
Mm-mm.
great.
It
That's
didn't affect
great.
my relationship with my mom at all. It affected my relationship with my dad. I
Okay.
remember I remember I was trying to go somewhere with a friend, and my mom, she told me to ask my dad. He was on the phone one day. She was like, "Ask your dad about it." And then he was just like, "No."
You was
He
like,
said
yeah,
no. And at
right.
this time, he's in prison, and he actually knew the guy that I was trying to go with.
Hmm.
So he was like, "No, you may not understand it right now, but hey, that's my answer. I'm sticking to it." So I remember I wrote him a letter, and man, I'm being completely vulnerable. I wrote him a letter. It was in red ink. I remember it to this
Oh,
day.
you was hot.
And I was just going off, like, I was mad. Like, I'm saying, like, you can't tell me what to do because you're not here, and like everything like that. I feel like all my frustrations was kind of coming out then. And like I said, yeah.
So how did he respond?
He responded. He was like, you not gonna understand it right now, but I'm doing it for a good reason.
Reason. Well,
Yeah. And
that's right. That right there is remarkable.
hmm and he
So
was like, even
obviously
myself.
your dad has empathy and
Yeah.
and everything. So he's out of
hmm
prison now,
Yep, he
correct?
is.
And
Yep.
you all have a good y'all relationship. It's
Yep.
good.
Our relationship's pretty good now.
That's good. So now when he
hmm
got out, what was
hmm
that like? Him, okay, now you ain't on the phone no more. He fully present if he
Yeah.
wants to be. So what was that like for you? Because now you're becoming a teenager, right?
Yeah.
Oh Lord, I know your mom was like, "Help me, Lord."
She definitely was. So when he first got out, I kind of had an idea of the things that we would be doing and stuff like that, and it wasn't that at all when he got out. As I got older, though, I understand where he was coming from. He's a
Yeah.
felon. He couldn't get a job. He tried to, start multiple businesses. He started to work with others, but I never truly seen his frustration about what he was going through, and I didn't understand it at that time. So I was very defiant to the things that he would tell me to do, and like I just wouldn't listening. Like I had this pent up anger and aggression inside of me because of the situations. Like
Yeah.
we were talking before we hopped on the phone, like people truly don't process traumatic experiences, and I feel like that was a
Yeah.
traumatic experience for me, and I'm still processing it to this day. So when he did get out, like I said, I had expectations and I was kind of let down. So that kind of caused me to, lash out in other ways and be more defiant. But I had a little brother. My little brother was born in 2011.
So were you an only child up until then?
I was the only child between him and my mom.
Mom.
And
Okay.
I had an older brother and an older sister on his side.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
hmm Then my little brother, he was born in 2011. And that's when things was like, okay, I see what's been going on in his house, and I really don't want my little brother to grow up and feel like that's normal. So
Mm.
I took that connection very young, like, hey, I want to be the best role model for my little brother, and I don't want to do anything to, show him anything wrong to show him that it's right.
Yeah. So your dad, when he got out of prison, he came back to you and your mom.
Uh-huh. So they were
Okay.
married. Yes,
They were
ma'am.
married. Okay, so she came back. So that
hmm
itself was an adjustment
Yeah.
because I mean I know now your dad had some mental health stuff and probably still does because
Oh yeah.
you just
He.
cannot go to prison and
hmm
not deal with that.
Yeah.
Um, so any therapy? Have you done counseling or anything?
Yeah. So I started therapy last year.
Great,
I started
great.
therapy last year, and I actually started it in college, but it wasn't consistent. Like that was kind
Gotcha.
of like I planted the seed, but then last year I kind of said, let me go in here and actually have a goal and work through some things that I truly haven't processed. So
That's good.
yeah, and like I said, I understand where my dad comes from. His father passed away when he was 13. And
Mm,
he led a life that was in the street. So, it took a lot of me to be understanding, and just knowing that the circumstances that he was given, it's like,
yeah.
you
But
know,
Emondre, I'm listening to you. You are very mature to be a 25-year-old.
yes, man.
Because your story, could benefit many young men, especially. Because one of the things I don't like to hear in our community, and I've been guilty of it when I was much younger. Thank God for wisdom.
hmm
Um, we see people struggling, and we automatically attack them, not
hmm
realizing there's a root behind why they're acting out. Even
Right.
here in Birmingham and all over this country, these people don't really want to die. I mean, they're caught up in this gun violence, drug stuff, but it's because something was missing,
hmm
in their life. And
Yeah.
generally, they're seeking attention. And
hmm
even though you may come in as a disciplinarian, every child craves that because what it does, it makes them feel like, oh, somebody cares about me. Somebody
hmm
really cares about me. Because
It's a
I'm sitting here
coping
listening to your
mechanism.
story. Yeah. And I'm listening to you that you saw, how your dad's upbringing was in life
hmm
and you saw your brother and you was like, wait a minute, I've got to pretty much what you said. I'm the breach repairer. I'm going to
hmm
break this generational pattern right here.
Yep.
My brother is going to see a role model in me, which is great. And I'm glad to hear that you are in therapy. Stick with it. Let me tell you, you have to go get take ups. I still do.
Yes,
Have to call
ma'am.
them and say, hey, let me vent. And as we were talking about off camera, my parents were great. I had a wonderful childhood. I mean, overall, it was nothing overly traumatic. But as I
Mhm.
got older and realized, oh, that this is where this come from.
Right.
And you got to process that. And I thank God before both my parents died, we got to have some conversations. But
Mm-hmm.
also realizing they were doing the best they could under the
With what they
circumstance.
had, right?
And I think now I'm at a point in life, and I'm glad you get to that point before I did. I say it was probably when I was about 38, I realized it's not the person, it's what's in them that's
Mm-hmm.
manifesting um with everything. I realized I wasn't no fighter, I wasn't no profanity user, cusser, but I could string some stuff together to make you feel just as bad. And I
Yep.
realized that came from that my mom had that fight, but it came because of things happened in her
Yep.
childhood. And the thing about it is, when you recognize the pattern, we've got to stop saying this is just how I am when it's harmful and it's hurting other people, also hurting you
Mm-hmm.
more and more. So that's it. So I'm great. I'm great. You're doing well. I'm glad you and your dad, have a relationship. That is just the grace of God. But just to hear you say your dad, because a lot of times it could have been the other way. He could have just been snapping, going off like, boy, you're gonna listen to me. But it
We had
seems
times
like,
like
oh yeah,
that.
now but now that's dad too.
Yeah,
That's
that's
just dad.
bad too, though. Yeah.
But I think part of it is he learned some things while he was being incarcerated. Number one, coming out, can't get a
Mm-hmm.
job. And I'm so glad that the law changed now, that some of these people that have been locked up, they're able to come out and get jobs. They're able to vote now. They're
Mm-hmm.
not like just thrown away with it. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but one of the stats show that if children cannot read by the fourth grade, they're more likely to become a part of the justice system, the juvenile system.
Mm-hmm.
And then possibly they will be in prison by the time they're 18,
Yep.
or dead, or have a severe injury related, to that lifestyle. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't use the word thug, uh, none of this, they're not gonna be anything, because
Mm-hmm.
we're all created in the image of God. So it's gonna take us speaking life into each other.
Yep.
So we're gonna shift gears. Thanks for sharing that with me. So we're gonna
Of
shift
course.
gears and talk about Eastern toys. Now
Mm-hmm.
I know all y'all do angel trees, but I want y'all to shift this year. Eastern toys, okay? We're gonna angel Emondre this year, okay? That's what we're gonna do. So
Eastern
tell us
Toys.
about Eastern toys.
Yes, ma'am. So, like you said, I started Eastern Toys my freshman year of college, and it was a requirement that we took a class and we got some community service hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a couple weekends going to a shelter down in Huntsville,
Mm.
and we were just working with kids. We were feeding families, and I felt so ignited by helping out others in that way, and I just began to think. Now, this was first semester of college, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
started August, and I was just thinking about some things that I could do back in Birmingham that could help, the kids in Birmingham. So came back home during the Christmas break, went to a mentor's house, that same mentor I'm telling you about, Libby, and she threw a Christmas party, and it was like a lot of our friends there. And at that time, I had my camera, so I was taking pictures, and I remember we were playing like some Santa games or Christmas games and stuff like that. And I put on a Santa hat. Now the
Mm-hmm.
games had ended. I was still just kind of snapping pictures, and like I said, I had that Santa hat on. I pulled out my phone and I took a picture and I posted it to social media. And I was just like, hey, on the East Lake Santa, hashtag East Lake Santa, what do y'all want for Christmas? Now, I was just joking. Like, one of my favorite rappers at the time was Gucci Man, and he called himself the East Atlanta Santa. So
Uh-huh.
that's where that came from. So I was like just joking, and people started to reach out to me and they were like, hey, are you giving away toys? How can we get involved? And how do we sign up? Things of that nature. And I was like, oh, snap.
I gotta create something now,
But
huh?
no, it came back to me. That idea came back to me because, like I said, I had a vision or an idea to do something for the kids in my community where I was from. So that connection right there clicked, and I was like, okay, perfect. I can do this to in Birmingham. And I called my mom and I'm like, hey mom, I want to start this. How do I go about doing it? And that first year, it was maybe three families. It was one family had two kids, and the other two families had one kid apiece. And I just completely donated them some toys and clothes. And for the first 3 years of the nonprofit starting, like my money, it was self funded out of my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really didn't get serious on the legal side with it until maybe 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I did like the nonprofit and 501c3 and stuff like that. And that's a lot. That's
Oh
a
yeah.
lot. I had to go through a lot to get that done. But
Done.
yeah, it's been a journey. Like I said, it's just it gets bigger each and each year, and I'm excited that I get to be a part of Eastern Toys, and we got a board now, and I kind of
Wow.
just let my board throw out majority of the ideas and let them put it together because like you said, I don't really want to be the face of Eastern Toys. Like I know I started it, but I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
be that face. I want Eastern Toys to be a worldwide organization to a point. We got Eastern Toys, we got Northern Toys, we got Western Toys, Southern Toys,
Yeah, I
stuff like
gotcha.
that. And
Oh,
so
well, you will get there based on what I've seen here. You would definitely do it. I would like for you to meet my daughter as well. She's a
mhm,
publisher. She lives in Dallas, of course, born and
okay,
raised here. But we went out to San Francisco. She has one of her clients is a author. Her name is Dr. Tamisha Booker,
uh-huh,
and she actually started writing books because of her black son that have positive images.
okay,
One of them was cornrows, afros, and braids is one of the
hmm,
books. But she it's a gentleman, he's in Atlanta, and
hmm,
he's called, I don't know if the originals real Santa Claus, a black gentleman,
hmm,
but she actually flew him out. And Belize is trying that she wants to start moving around. Like you said, you want this to grow.
hmm,
And she likes to partner with, like you got your Eastern Toys, because that's
yes,
one of the things they do.
hmm,
We gave away toys. We went out and helped her last year in San Francisco.
yeah,
So that's one of the things that she always looking for locals. And her desire is, even though she lives in Dallas, she
hmm,
said, "Mom, Birmingham is my home, and we grew up in Ensley and Bearview Heights area,
okay,
is where she was raised, and
hmm,
so she likes to partner. So that's a good thing. I would definitely share that with her.
okay,
So now I'm assuming with your board and
hmm,
everything, you all are already gearing up for the upcoming season.
yes, man,
So
we are.
tell the people what you need.
Um, so right now we set a goal of $10,000, and
Okay.
pretty much what that would do if we have 45 to 50 kids, 45 to 60 kids, we're trying to allot at least 200 per kid. So
Okay.
like in the previous years, it's kind of been we've been giving like 100, 150 per kid. But as we continue to grow, it's just like realizing like, hey, it's really limited, honestly, on what you can get a kid for $100 as prices starting to go up and stuff like that. So that's our goal for this year. Everything else is pretty much taken care of. We are planning an event, a fundraiser event,
Okay.
and that's hopefully to be in July.
Okay.
So we start opening up our applications for families in August.
Okay.
And then we taking donations all year round.
Gotcha.
And
Okay. And I've dropped all of his contact. Hey, if you got your pet, you want to take a picture?
yep.
I got that in there. The bark. I
Yes,
like that
ma'am.
name. And also for Eastern Toys as well. Because you all, as I often say, we always want to talk about the problem.
hmm
We are the answer.
Yep.
Yes, God does miraculous things, but we are the answers in the earth realm for most things.
Right.
So just like y'all buying all that Starbucks and all that extra stuff, you got no business eating out too much. Drop that change over here at Eastern Toys, and you can spread it around.
hmm
I give to several foundations, so I'm gonna add you to my list
Okay.
uh, to be able to donate to, because I would much rather partner with you. I'm real intentional about where I sow my money, because some of these organizations not doing what they say they doing.
Right.
So that's what we need to be mindful of. Just because they've been around 1,000 years don't mean they have integrity.
Hmm.
Don't mean
That
they're
don't mean
doing
that
it.
they have intention, the right intentions.
Yeah, and it may not get to where I want it to get to
Hmm.
because of that. So you all check out both his websites, the Bard and also Eastern Toys. Go on there, and I mean,
Hmm.
beautiful websites. I mean, you are doing an outstanding job. I'm just so proud of you. And like I said, when I saw you speak, I was like, I gotta reach out to him. Thank God for Messenger and all that stuff. And then I went
Right.
on and everything. So I really thank you for coming on, spending time with me.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna keep you in my prayers and
Mhm.
stay in contact.
Before we
Uh,
close out,
mhm.
I didn't talk about Zero Zero Foundation.
Oh yeah, that's right. You got so much going on. Yeah, tell me about zero
Yeah.
zero five. Well, first of all, what's creative at night? Is that the same thing or that's different?
So I work for my 9 to 5 is with two companies,
Okay,
Night Edie and Zero Zero Foundation.
okay,
Night Edie is a full marketing, anything sports, sports events, consultations, events,
okay,
all of that. Like the March Madness, we bought March Madness down here last year. So that's what Night Edie does. And I just take
okay,
photos for that. So like the SEC games, SEC Media Days,
okay. Great.
all that stuff. But then Zero Zero Foundation, that's where I work like 95%. So I'm
Okay,
5% Night Eating and maybe 95% of Zero Zero Foundation. And what Zero Zero Foundation does is we want to create equitable opportunities to the kids who are playing sports and provide them with the same resources that the over the mountain kids may have, and the same trainers, resources,
gotcha.
everything that they need, so that when they step on that field, or we're not just limited to sports either, if they want to step into a career path, the score will be 0 and 0. Like, so
Gotcha.
they start with somebody, they start with them, they'll be 0 and 0, like no limitations to how far they can go. And yeah, 0 0, that's one of the things that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, where I feel like I'm working in my passion. Like I get to engage with the kids on a daily basis almost. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so
Now, how did you find out about this company?
I found out about this company through my mom.
Okay. Lord, we should
So
have had Mama on here. Where's she at?
yeah, I don't know. She probably somewhere with my little brother right now. He moved. He plays sports too, so he all over the place.
Okay, yeah, my kids played tennis and AAU basketball. I was so glad
Hmm.
that life was over. I was
Yeah.
looking for your website. What is the website? That's what I was on here looking for
So
now.
it's ZERO zero
Uh-huh.
zero foundation.org.
Okay.
And like I said, we do a number of programs. We do sport clinics every month. I work with phase two kids. It's a three-phase program. Phase
Okay.
one deals with kids from ages 5 to 12. And then phase two is the program that I work with. And those kids are from 13 to their senior year of high school. And the programs that we have them involved in is weekly tutoring sessions. We have them in
Okay,
counseling
great.
sessions and trauma
Great.
therapy. And we have them doing continued athletic training. So all this is really incentivized with our big curated experiences, where we take our kids out of state to a professional team. Like
Mm-hmm.
we just got back from Nashville April 13th, something like that. And we
Okay.
took the kids to a Nashville Predators games, which is a National Hockey League team. It was their last game of the season. The kids were able to sit in on a panel of maybe 3 to 5 employees, where they had the opportunity to talk about how they got into sports, that transition when they realized they can no longer go further with sports, and going into the workforce. And really what we want to do is open our kids' eyes to more opportunities in the world, and not just, like I said, limiting them to what they're seeing in their environments. And as we spoken throughout this interview, like I realized that that is a big important piece in a kid's life, is just opening their eyes to as much things as possible, so that when they do reach a certain age, they know exactly what they want to do and who they want to be.
That's a great. You know what I wish?
Hmm.
I wish that I think I would change the whole education system, first of all.
Yeah.
You need to identify what kids are put in this earth to be from
Hmm.
K5 through eighth grade. And then when they go to high school, you're either going on that path, it's trade or whatever your gift is. If you
Right.
college bound, fine. Because
No need for
college,
all that unnecessary stuff.
yeah, you just get to the point, and everything.
Mhm.
Because sadly, the U.S. the founders came up with this model that fit them, but does not
Mhm.
fit everybody. So that's my thing. Like I told you offline that my son is a game designer for EA
Yep.
Sports, and he started gaming at 9,
Mhm.
and we let him game.
Yeah.
And people like, oh, he always spends game, but he had limits. He knew he had to do his work. And when he got to the 9th grade, he said, "I'm going to work for EA Sports."
Yeah.
and
And he
and that's what
did
he
it.
said, and he did.
Yeah.
He perfected those games, and I mean, and he went and got his degree in computer science and math. Although in the gaming world you don't have to have it, but he said, I wanted it just in case I decide to do something else, so I really know the business. And he
Mhm.
has done exceptionally well. My daughter, marketing and media, someone said to us like, "Oh, she don't need to do that. She's not gonna do well with that." And I told, because their child that majored in the same thing to do well, I said that probably had more to do with your child than,
Right.
because we
It,
support our kids. And I tell people, if a child say they want to try something, let them try
let
it.
him try it. Don't limit him. Don't
Don't
put him in the
say that.
box.
Yeah, I got to track this young man down too.
Mhm.
I read about this young man. I think he's in Mobile. Went to the band director at his school and said he want to be a composer.
Mhm.
Didn't know how to read music. Ain't played not one instrument. And the band director said something about his fire. Said you need to help
Mhm.
this kid.
What's his name?
I can't think of his name now. I emailed it to myself. I sent it to you.
Yeah.
He is writing symphonies.
Mhm.
The
I got a
band
cousin
at
that's
his
doing
high
that.
school.
That's
Where's
why I
is
asked.
that your cousin? Where is he at? It might be here.
He no longer in Birmingham. I think he's out in Florida or something like that now. But he got his own little band and they sing. He got his choir and he's pretty big on social
Oh
media.
yeah. Listen, I'm big. Just like I email your stuff. I email
Mhm.
the stories.
Yeah.
And the band director was like, "Oh my God, who would have thought that?" He walked in and said, I'm gonna write music. I'm gonna be a symphony director." And here he
Right.
is. So whatever these children say they're gonna be, help them become it.
Right.
Because the enemy, who is Satan, will come in and get in there and twist it and take them off course. So,
Mhm.
Mondre, I'm so proud of you. I'm
Thank you.
glad of everything. I'm glad dad is doing okay. You and your mom. And I wish she was there so I could see her, because baby, she really did a great job. And I'm glad
Mm.
that you realized what you needed to do for you, for yourself to become whole.
Mhm.
I interviewed my kids a few months ago, and this was a raw thing. I was like, okay, they may put me on blast on the show.
Social media.
Yeah, but one of the things my son said, he said, listen, you may not have had the best parents, you may not have had the best life, but when you get a certain age, you got to own your own trauma.
Right.
You got to own your own trauma, because even the person that hurt you, they may never acknowledge it or may not even realize it.
Mhm.
So you got to be able to let it go, most definitely. So you all reach out if you need some counseling. And let me tell y'all this: your pastor may not be the best person, okay? They ain't sometimes qualified for that, okay? And they may be traumatized themselves,
True.
and they trying to preach their way out of their trauma. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So get somebody that's trained in it. And if you go to a counselor and they ain't working out, guess what? Like I tell people with doctors, you do not have to stay with a doctor for all of your life. You don't have to change and find somebody that is going to listen. The key is you're working in partnership with them. They're not there to dictate to you. You're there to work out how you're going to process everything. And it's baby steps.
Mhm.
And let me tell you this: once you unveil this route and you think you got it going on, then you get another route.
And so far and
Because
so far.
so on, because things are going to keep happening in life. But let me tell you what happens. Once you get down to get those tools, you eventually figure out how to not let it take root. You can stop it from growing. As a little weed, you're going to snatch that thing up before it going to grow into a big old tree. So that's the thing. It helps with tools, and you just become your whole self. And let me tell you this: no matter what you do, somebody's going to have a problem.
True.
So,
True. And they go find one. If you don't have one that's visible, they go make one up.
yeah. So, in closing, what kind of words you want to leave the people with? It could be a soapbox or something you're passionate about or something that just irk your nerves that you want
One
people to
word.
change. No,
Well,
just a phrase or a statement.
um, listen to the youth. Listen to your kids. Let them be themselves and let them go through their interests and determine exactly what they want to do. Don't just put them in sports because that's what you think is going to be the meal ticket for y'all. You know, your kid got to have passion for whatever they want to do. And if you start early, the better off you'll be and the better off your kid will be too.
That's
And another
right.
thing too, parents go to therapy as well because it starts in the household. Um, and that's all I get.
That's
I
it.
got. Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's great. Well, look, y'all, I'm gonna do this thing on. I'm gonna do this announcement
Mm-hmm.
that I normally do. Listen, you all, God Setting Partners LLC Home Care Service. They're hiring independent contractor, caregiver jobs. Listen, they take care of mainly seniors and people with special needs. If you got issues, we don't want you to apply. If you have thievery run through your blood, we don't want you to apply. You cannot be going to these people's house taking their stuff, okay? But if you have integrity and you love to take care of people that are not doing so well, you can apply at godsittingpartners.com /caregivers, or you can call 205-259-1687. But as I said, if you got issues, don't apply. We don't want anybody to come up there and not their stuff be missing or abused. So anyway, we thank you all for joining us. And I dropped all your information in the chat. Hopefully people will start donating to you. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you all, next week, I'm gonna be out of town at a conference. Normally I do my shows on the road, but these folks want to have dinner. I was like, okay, I can have my show next Thursday because that's a good thing I love about streaming. I can do it from anywhere. So no show next week. And when I come back the following week, Verlin Sally is going to be my guest, and he will be talking about healthcare disparities / discrimination in the healthcare system, which does exist. And that is why we need to pursue good health so that we will not have to deal with this. And I'm going to pop this back up here related to Shay, who I showed her mental health little tidbit at the beginning. Now she does live in Atlanta in Georgia. That's where she licensed. But you can look her up and just send her a message. She have some tools that she can help you get started. You all, if you don't have money for therapy, you all, there are some reputable things. I'm telling y'all, YouTube University, you can vet them. It may be you just starting out, listening to someone talk about their trauma and how they overcome it, and then you relate to that and be like, aha, you got to do what you got to do, with the resources that you have. Hopefully, one day, my hope is that mental health will become as important as our physical health, because I do believe if we deal with the mental health, many of the physical illnesses that we have will not manifest themselves because we will be emotionally whole. So, you all have a good night. Take care, and thanks for joining.